Live from Toast Studios, high above Atlanta, 46 floors above on the skyline of Atlanta. Toast Studios, welcome to the Hospitality Hangout Podcast. I am Shatsy, and Jimmy is the finance guy. Jimmy, take us away.
We are very excited to be recording this special edition of our Hospitality Hangout live on the road, although I am still in New York, which is why I had the nerve to wear my Pepsi hat in what is otherwise known down in Atlanta as Red Can Country. But I'm wearing my Pepsi hat because I'm going all blue, baby, the blue can. We have our guest today, Mr. Scott Snyder, the CEO of Royal Aloha Coffee Company. Badass Coffee of Hawaii. I'm not sure if that's an AKA or just Badass Coffee of Hawaii, but I got to tell you, Shatsy and I, we're big fans of names, and we happen to be involved and own and operate 19 full-service restaurants here in New York City, and each name, well, we're an old-school group. Each one gets its own brand, its own identity, but I got to say, hats off to you, Mr. Snyder. We love your Badass Coffee brand. We think that's an awesome name.
It's I got to tell you, Jimmy, it's the best, I think one of the best brands I've ever heard. But listen, we got a lot to get to, okay? But before we get to it, let me just tell you, how does one become the CEO? How does one become the head of a company called Badass Coffee? How does that even happen, Jimmy? We're not cool enough to ever have a company like that. Am I right, Jimbo?
We're definitely not cool enough to have a company like that.
Okay, so listen, first of all, Jimmy, you got to go to Illinois State University. You got to go to Illinois State University, right? You got to go there, and you got to come out of there, and you're not sure what you want to do. So you have to dabble in many industries. And what do? The first thing you do is you go, Jimmy, healthcare, right? You always told me, healthcare, big, right?
Big.
So you dabble in healthcare, right? And you check that out. You see what's doing in healthcare. You make a few bucks in healthcare. You dabble with that. And then retail hardware. Because hardware, big, right? And you go into publishing. You check that out. You make a few bucks in publishing. And then medical simulation. Don't even know what that is, Jimmy, but it sounds interesting, and it must be big because Mr. Scott Snyder did it.
Michael.
It's
very important, Shatsy.
Did you just call me Michael?
Yes, I felt very parental as you were not understanding the importance of this.
So you wanted to. That was like your dad calling you James.
Medical simulation. So I defaulted to your mom and dad and called you Michael.
Yeah, medical simulation, and then Jimmy, and then data intelligence or data intelligence.
It's
something about intelligence.
Data intelligence.
Data intelligence. You do all those things. So you do healthcare, you do hardware, you do publishing, you do medical simulation. What the hell that is? Data intelligence. You take all that, and you know what that gets you, Jimmy?
It gets you CEO position at Badass
Coffee. So without further ado, let me bring in the CEO, the chairman of the board of Badass Coffee, Mr. Scott Snyder. We got a lot to talk about, Mr. Snyder, sir. Glad you're here in Atlanta at QSR Automation with us. Talk to us, man.
Aloha, everybody.
Ooh, I like what he did there.
Aloha. Scott, how much of that did Mr. Shatsbury here get right? Did he cover most of it? Is that what led to you becoming the CEO of Badass Coffee?
Well, clearly somebody out there's got a file.
Yeah, we got a file. I'd be careful.
Well, I mean, that's where it all started. The last part of that, though, after that was really where I think what all those experiences had, plus the ad agency and the consulting experience after that, what they all had in common was kind of a track record of either launching new brands or resurrecting old brands. And in this particular case, with Badass Coffee, my entry here was in 2017 as a consultant because the brand had not sold a franchise in over 10 years and hadn't opened a store in 10 years. And so that was what we started with. And within about 2 years later, what we saw was an amazing brand name, as you led off with.
I think to me, it's the best.
A great name and a great product, but a serious absence of infrastructure that was going to promote success or support success for the franchises. And so that's what I saw. That's what was attractive to me. That's what I shared with other like-minded people, other investors like me. And we acquired the brand assets in 2019 and relaunched.
So you own Badass.
We relaunched the brand. We relaunched the brand on, you'll get this, Friday the 13th, March 13th, 2020.
Perfect. Right in the heart right when like everyone let's shut down. There's a cootie amongst us.
By the way, Shatsy, you know what it takes? You know what it is if you can launch a brand on March 13th, Friday the 13th, 2020, just when the world was coming to a close. You know what that is? That's badass.
That's badass, motherfucker.
That's badass.
Damn right.
That's like, really? You're going to shut me down? No. I'm launching a brand in the midst of your freaking pandemic. That's what I think of you.
I 100% agree with that, Jimmo. That is, I was looking for to get some applause here from the audience. Here we go. There we go. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, that's on me.
It's on me. Down? No, yeah. I ain't shut down. I'm opening. That's what I'm doing. I'm going long, brick and mortar. I love that. Listen, Scott, I want to ask you, and again, I say this with, I love what you guys are doing, clearly, and we're having fun with your name, but it's more than just a name. I think a lot of folks are jumping in on the energy drink bandwagon, and it seems like there's so many folks launching. And look, our industry is incredibly competitive. There are chicken wars and burger wars, and then obviously there are energy drink wars. And look, don't hold it against me, but my 7-year-old daughter has a little bit of a love for this small little coffee shop you may have heard of called Starbucks or Starbucks.
Sylvie, really, that's her thing. That's her thing.
Refresher.
Sylvie likes Starbucks. That's her thing.
Well, she likes some of the juices and things that come with it. Yeah. I think it might be my wife who brings it to Starbucks. She's 7. Mm-hmm. But anyway, my point is at Badass Coffee, you guys are taking a different route, and maybe can you spill the beans? And yes, I keep playing these puns on things like that. How are you catering to this sip and savor crowd? Because I think that's where you guys distinguish yourselves. You know, I take my coffee very seriously. The sip and savor crowd, how are you guys keeping up with that while also keeping up with the trends of cold brews and those Instagram-worthy cold foams? What is the Badass Coffee secret to be all of that?
Well, I think the first thing you've got to look at is to meet your customers where your customers are at. Right. So for Badass Coffee of Hawaii, what we inherited what we acquired, I should say, was a beverage menu that was probably overpopulated with too many signature drinks. What we needed to do, if you look at the coffee market, you've heard of second wave, that would be the Starbucks and the Dunkins and the Pete's and all those guys. And the third wave being that top shelf coffee experience, but not necessarily the menu experience. Badass Coffee is really more of that 2.5 wave, right? We kind of own that space in that we roast and curate our coffees like a third wave, but we have that menu that serves a lot of different audiences, a lot of different day parts. And so, Jimmy, when you talk about the sip and savor, you have to have that because that's an important part of your audience. So we do have an energy product, an energy drink. It's called Mana. It's fantastic. Mana? But that Mana is...
What's Mana mean?
Mana means energy. Means life, right? In Hawaiian. So we lean into that. But even in that, we're true to our Hawaiian roots and to our 2.5 wave approach. And so our energy doesn't come from a cracked can of Red Bull or Go Fast or whatever you've got on hand. Our energy comes from organic, and it comes from coffee. It comes from the skins and the pulp of the coffee bean itself. So our caffeine is organic, and then that's added to those flavors that we would have on the rest of your coffee drinks and lattes and flavored drinks.
I ask a stupid question.
Sure.
Why is Hawaiian coffee so good? Everyone why is Hawaii known for its great? Is it the soil? Because what makes it so delicious?
Hawaiian coffee is amazing. It's a really unique geographic spot on the globe in terms of daytime temperatures, amount of moisture, amount of sunshine. What it produces is a very flavorful, mellow bean.
Yeah.
And you know what? Again, going back to kind of our 2.5 wave position, we can take those same international coffees that everybody else is brewing and serving, and we can make those that much better. That next half wave
just better. By growing in Hawaii.
Well, just by adding that Hawaiian coffee to it.
Adding a little bit.
So not only do we have those 100% Hawaiian coffees, which everyone looks and has to hunt and search for, at Badass Coffee we've got shelves full of 100% Hawaiian coffees, shelves full of 100% Hawaiian blends.
Oh, okay.
And then we take all those international coffees and we add that Hawaiian to it, and it just takes that regular, everyday brew that you have somewhere else and makes it that much better.
Yeah, I love it. So look at that. So I heard a story about a coffee shop that tried to create this whole Hawaiian vibe thing by putting their, all the baristas had the leis on. They played the Hawaiian ukulele music, which by the way, I love. I listen on the weekends. My jam is like in the morning, I listen to Hawaiian sounds. Very soothing, you know what I mean? Uh-huh. But as you expand mainland, I heard you guys are coming to my hometown, Jimbo, New Jersey, where I was born. Jimmy doesn't like New Jersey. But you bring badass coffee there, because Jimmy's going to have to go through the tunnel and find New Jersey to go find a badass coffee. But how do you keep authentic the spirit of your Kona coffee and Hawaiian feel and theme without becoming that cheesiness that, the mainland people, we're just always cheesy about Hawaii, right? How do you keep it true to its roots?
It's a great question. I think
I didn't write it, so thank you.
Oh, well.
Thank you, Julie, for a great question.
It's a great question, and one that was one of the first things that we saw with the brand when I came in as a consultant. It really did lean a little bit more towards something you would see out of Hollywood, right? And so what we wanted to do, and our 3 brand pillars are our Hawaiian coffee expertise, our Hawaiian heritage, leaning into that Hawaiian heritage, and so aloha and ohana, aloha being all those things that are great in the world in terms of how you treat each other and generosity and kindness, empathy, community. Those are all great things that we try to model our stores and our culture after. And then that third one, of course, which I know you love so much, is that fueling your inner badass, right? There's a little badass in all of us, and that's not something that we necessarily promote. It's just going out and doing really great things in the world every day and not making a big deal about it. But back to the experience, when you have a name like Badass Coffee of Hawaii, right, you want to lean into all that in a very authentic way. And so we do have, the sights and sounds and smells of Hawaii, or the aromas, right? So you walk in, you are going to hear some music. You are going to see, vintage Hawaiian photography. You are going to get a big aloha from the barista when you walk in. And you're going to be treated with kindness and with patience. And those are things that we think are very authentic about Hawaii. Those are things that we model our brand after. And we think that customers really enjoy, especially today, when you can walk into any coffee shop and, what do you want with that? What do you want with that?
Captured that whole thing because I think that is marketing gold for your team internally because I feel so good and I feel so happy right now. Like I'm smelling coffee, Jimmy. I'm feeling Hawaii. I'm feeling it. You know what I mean? Where are New Jersey opening?
New Jersey's going to open in Hackensack,
nice.
Downtown Hackensack, right across the street from City Hall. Should be opening here within the next month. Oh, knock on wood.
And then is New York in the future too? Will Jimmy be able to, because he never goes to New Jersey, so will he find one in New York City at some point?
Well, we sure hope so. We don't have any planned right now, but never say never.
I'll take Jimmy cross through the tunnel, Jimmy, or the bridge, and I'll have to bring you there, kicking and screaming.
Schatz, what you understand is that Scott and I are bonding over the fact that Hawaii, islands, Manhattan, island, we'll figure out with the island, us island people, we'll figure out, we'll take our inner badass and we'll figure out how to take care of him in the island of Manhattan, the island of NYC. We'll take care of it. You landlocked. You landlocked. Not landlocked, but you're mainland. Jersey's mainland. We're an island.
I hear you, buddy. I hear you.
Listen, Scott, I recently had the privilege and the pleasure of attending Big Chicken's franchisee convention or conference in Las Vegas. It's a little humble brag there. I got to go. And actually, I'd never been to an
Just
event.
tell us all. You met Shaq again. Yeah.
Schatz, I'm glad you brought that up because I would have forgotten that I got to meet the good doctor, Dr. Shaquille O'Neal himself. That's a little bit more of a humble brag. But no, in all seriousness, my biggest takeaway from that experience, which again, I'd never been to a franchisee event like that before, was this kind of subculture, and that the franchisor brought the franchisees together. They brought, tech suppliers and other key service providers. Really, it was.
I think
community.
The Pepsi team was there, right, Jimmy? The whole Pepsi team was there.
The Pepsi team was rocking and rolling there. I got to tell you, yes. So,
but who the Pepsi team asked? What'd they say? What'd the Pepsi team say to you, Jimmy? Where is
everything's better. Oh, they all asked, where is Julie? They all want to know where was Julie.
Oh shit! Everyone's like, where's Shatsy? Why is he not here?
By the way, I can't see Julie now, but I know she's smiling.
Yeah.
I know she's smiling. Listen, my question though is, you have your upcoming franchisee event. You call it, the whole ohana, the whole ohana together. How are you balancing? Because you guys are growing rapidly. So in all seriousness, how are you balancing rapid growth through franchising while maintaining this close knit, community that is badass coffee and the badass culture?
Well, your question's a timely one because getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah, I don't. What just happened? Like
Julie was so happy. Julie was so happy with my shout out to her. She kind of laughed. She hit a button, and now there's feedback.
Yeah, what just happened? Like, this stuff just goes.
How about that now?
Oh, that better?
Okay, there we go.
All right, here we go.
Better.
That was wacky.
No, it's a timely question.
What does ohana mean, by the way?
Ohana means family.
I'm learning so much Hawaiian right now, Jimmy. I'm Yiddish, English, Hawaiian, and a dabble in Spanish. This is wonderful, Jimmy.
Yeah, Shatsy, you speak good, buddy. You speak good.
I speak swell.
Speak good Hawaiian. Yeah, speak
Back
good
to
Hawaiian.
Scott. I want to talk about the ohana together and the balancing act.
Can we go to that franchise event?
It's 1 month from today. Actually,
we're going, Jimmy. We just got an invite.
It is I
invited myself.
It is our first ever convention. One of the things to answer your question, Jimmy, we had so much infrastructure to build, and we had to meld the franchisees that we acquired, who had a lot of change coming their way, right? And along with a whole new crop of franchisees that have bought into what we're sharing and to what we're building, right? So having those two audiences together has been really great for both, right? Because without the franchisees that came with the acquisition, we wouldn't have had a proof of performance, right? That the new folks could look at and say, yeah, I want to get some of that. So from a culture standpoint, though, what we figured out about a year and a half in was we really needed to do that much better on the communication side. We need to be stronger, more diligent, more frequent, and farther out ahead with our communications. About 9 months ago, we created our first ever franchise advisory council, which was also a great way to keep them all together.
In fact, you're inviting me to be on that, by the way. I appreciate that. It's an honor. It's an honor and a thrill. Thank you.
And then the last part of it was this convention. And so getting everybody together and in a place where, the predecessor ownership didn't really encourage a lot of communication between the franchisees. That's really important. Like you said,
a language barrier.
Well, you build those
and everyone's speaking English.
You have subcultures, like you said, Jimmy, where it's really important for folks to have allies, to have other folks that they can talk to, problem solve with. And so the convention does that. It builds a lot of alignment around the direction that the brand is going. A lot of the focus of this one is going to be alignment around the importance of being aligned, right? To really lean into the systems and the process, because I'm a big believer we've got a DNA-centric brand approach, which is, we're really aligned on what this new brand is all about. Those 3 pillars that I talked about earlier. We've got product that backs that up, and then we have promises and packaging and everything that we're promoting about what that great experience is going to be. That's what the franchisor provides. What's the franchisee responsible for? Well, they're really responsible for delivering on the expectations that we put out in the market. So if we've got people going different directions, that's not going to fulfill that experience. And when you're stealing habits, and that's what we're doing, we're stealing habits to get customers, right? If I can get you to come to my store, however many times it takes over a 30-day period, just like a good exercise program, right? I've got you, right? But I've got to have that experience every single time we walk in. You've got to feel the love, you got to feel the aloha every time you come in. So the convention really is that place where we're going to have an opportunity to have everybody in the same room, to feel the love together, to feel the ohana, and see and realize what we can accomplish together. We really have a unique opportunity to kind of change the face of the coffee segment. This is a great brand to do that.
I like
Jimmy,
the audience, your
just a
live
mic
studio
drop,
audience
Jimmy. There's
actually
nothing
really
to say.
embraces what Mr. Snyder has to share.
I mean, they're on their feet, Jimmy. I mean, that's just, I can't even, I'm trying to speak over I mean, that's serious. That was like an Oscar acceptance speech. It was so gorgeous. It was. So where is this convention and how do we get tickets? Are we invited? I mean, do we just get VIP passes? How do we go?
I know a guy that can
so
get
Jimmy,
you a
that
ticket.
means we're going. Scott invited us. You heard it. You heard it from right out of his lips. He said, Shatsy, Jimmy, you're invited. VIP passes, wherever it is. Where is it?
It's going to be in Denver.
In Denver. Jimmy, we're going to Denver next month?
Next month.
You know what? I just happen to be there. When?
A month from today.
Oh, really?
October 3rd through 5th.
I will be there. I happen to be in Denver that day, so I'm really excited about that. In all seriousness, you know what? I think you said it. First of all, you got, to me, if I'm walking down the street and I'm thinking, and I see badass coffee, I'm going in there to get some. So I think you got that. So if you could just make sure that the experience matches the expectations of what, when they see badass coffee, what is that? I gotta check that out. And whatever that, so talk about that is that it's an experiential brand. Mm-hmm. And so what's your vision for creating memorable moments in your stores and as you expand? What because you get them in there because you got the brand, you got that identity, badass. I got to go check that out. But then they come in there, and then how do you keep them engaged if they want to just keep going in to do business? Especially like we talked about, it's a very competitive space. And Jimmy's daughter, she's going to Starbucks.
Starbies.
Yeah. How do you I mean, I know you compete because it's better, but then what do you do?
Well, better's not enough.
Right. It can't just be
right.
better.
Better's not enough. It's the little things, right? And this is really where, and I've worked with, probably 150 different brands over the last 35 years. And I'll take a franchise brand over a corporate brand 7 days a week and twice on Sunday.
Jimmy, that's your line. Jimmy uses that line.
Because at the end of the day, somebody's got to have skin in the game. And that franchisee, that local owner, operator, they're a part of that community. So it's the little things in that store experience. It's how you execute. It's I think we've lowered our expectations in the coffee segment in general. When you walk in, you don't expect to have a lot of engagement anymore. You don't expect someone to know what your usual is, Jimmy, right? Rashatsi, you don't expect someone to offer up additional information about something that's on the menu or to pick up on the fact that you may not have been there before. You're looking around and you're trying to absorb all the menu while you've got the pressure of everybody behind you. And as we talked about earlier, we also have this great third revenue stream, which is merchandise, which you can freeze somebody in their tracks. Merchandise, lots of badass merchandise. So it's really about executing that. It's about education. It's about training of your staff. It's about keeping them motivated.
It's a profit deal.
It is.
Right, Jimmy? It's merchandising and profit.
I'm glad you paid attention to my financial 101 lesson, Shatsy.
I'm badass coffee. The fourth pillar.
Scott, what Shatsy's trying to tell you is don't sell the merch below your wholesale price. That's what he's trying to tell you.
Absolutely
don't sell
not.
below wholesale. You can't make it up with volume. You can't.
Yeah, I love it. Jimmy, should we go to talking back? What do you think?
Yeah, I want to jump into talking back, Scott. We have a lot of fun bringing on the folks in the industry that are just doing amazing things, such as yourself. And we learned along the way that sometimes our guests have a question or two for us. So we'll kick off talking back. We're going to invite you to ask us a question. As I like to say, nothing's off the table. Scott, my friend, the microphone is yours.
Wow, I didn't even
unrehearsed.
I didn't know this was coming. Gosh,
this is podcast gold. By the way, we can edit the whole thing out if we don't like the question.
That's okay. I guess I'd ask you both. What is your favorite go-to coffee shop and why?
Oh, great question.
Well, Jimmy, you know me. I'm an iced tea guy, right?
Yes, Shatsy's an iced tea guy. And by the way, Shatsy will go to great lengths to use it. We've often asked guests on the podcast what's the most used app on their phone.
Yeah.
So Shatsy's your favorite used app is the bank of Starbucks, where he puts money and is constantly getting iced teas.
By the way, it's just because of the convenience factor. There's whenever I travel, there just seems to be a Starbucks over there somewhere.
Right. I will say, and I was actually thinking about this throughout us spending some time together today. I think Badass Coffee and Quentin Tarantino should hook up because I think there's this great scene in Pulp Fiction where the character actually, Tarantino plays the role of Jimmy, and Jimmy likes to taste his coffee. And Jimmy talks about buying good coffee and wants to taste his coffee. I always love that scene, not because of my enjoyment of Tarantino, which is very high, but actually I really like my coffee. I want it to taste like coffee, and I'm really interested, like wines, of experiencing coffee. So if I'm given a choice, I'm going to go off the run, off the beaten path, to find a shop that appears to have something unique to it. So I do like some of the Australian coffees. I think they have, the Bluestone has some good coffees. I actually was thinking, as you're talking about Hawaii and maybe some of the similarities of the beans and the growing and the kind of the environment of which Hawaii is growing its coffee with maybe some of the areas of Australia as well. I don't know if there's a parallel there of the uniqueness, but I would say that I'm more of a bespoke local, and I will check out coffees. And my go-to coffee drink, I once asked Shatsy to get me my usual, which is black and hot, and he brought back iced with milk, and I said, you couldn't have been more different.
Jimmy, you know why? Because you know why, Jimmy?
I know order more wrong.
Because I know what you wanted, Jimmy. But you know what?
Is not iced with milk.
Because I saw you, and you know what? I know what you wanted, but I looked at you and I said, you know what he needs? He needs something cold. You looked a little warm to me. I was just thinking, sometimes what you want is not what you need.
Because when I think I get my coffee, when I get it black, and I will then experience, I think, that cup of coffee in its truest form, and I will get to decide whether I'm enjoying it. So I really like the way, and I'm excited to experience my first cup of coffee with Badass. I like the way you talked about the beans being mellow. That's important to me. I think some of the competitors have a very sharpness to it, or almost a burnt, which is not something it almost becomes tart. So I really look forward to experiencing my first cup of Badass.
But remember, Jimmy, you're going to have to go to Hackensack, New Jersey. You're going to have to go to Jersey.
You know what? To have my Badass experience, I will go to the great state of New Jersey.
That's right.
And enjoy myself a cup of Badass black coffee.
That's what I wanted to hear, Jimmy. Tell everybody you're going. Jimmy. By the way, Jimmy's first girlfriend was from New Jersey, and I think that, as we talk to Jimmy, and he's going through many years of therapy.
That's why I'm anti-Jersey, right?
Many years of therapy, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Broke my heart.
And I think that is really where the whole New Jersey thing. He had a girlfriend. She dumped him, threw him right out, and he's never liked New Jersey. He's taking it out on the state of New Jersey.
You know what? That's as good a story as we're going to come up with. That's a good one. I like that.
That's a very common tale,
Jimmy, by the way. That's what your therapist told me. I don't know. Listen, let's go. Jimbo, take it away.
I want to jump all over and ask a little bit more. I'm really interested in the coffee subscription services.
I think he said super hot or something like that.
Yeah, it's super hot.
Because I really think when we think about personalization and we think about relationships that really venues wish to have with their guests, the subscription service is taking that to a wonderful level. I'd love to hear it has the potential to, I should say. So I'd love to hear, you said that was super hot. Coffee subscription services, why is that important to you, and how is Badass leaning into that, if you guys are?
We are leaning into that. There was a great article out this last week, actually, with Coffee Talk, talking about, they're calling that fourth wave, being Is that
like Mike Myers from Saturday Night Live?
Could be.
That's right. Coffee Talk, right? Wasn't that Jimmy? Wasn't that Mike Myers? Did he have Coffee Talk?
Coffee
right?
Talk. No, but But they had an article talking about they're calling that at-home subscription, the personal subscriptions, fourth wave, and it's especially relevant right now because I think people are making decisions about their frequency of purchase from coffee shops, right? So I think a brand like Badass Coffee does really well in that venue because we have the great experience if you're doing that. And yet at the same time, if you're not going for the experience anymore and you're not going for the convenience because you're not actually making that transaction with a store, you're not just going to buy any coffee. You're going to buy a coffee that's a high quality coffee, a coffee that you really enjoy, And so that lends itself to more of that third wave audience, right? That which, the higher end quality beans, the higher, more craft roasting. And that's where Badass lives. So for us, our subscriptions have skyrocketed over the last 2 years since we really began to marketing subscriptions through our online store, which we do have a lot of a significant portion of our online sales are
is that
coffee.
Badasscoffee.com?
Badasscoffee.com, right?
And what does a subscription look like? Like for just what does it look like? Is it a monthly? Is it?
Well, like Jimmy said, you can customize it to be about whatever you want. You can have the full year. You can have a 3-month flight. You can give that as a gift.
Am I getting ground beans? Am I getting the beans I got to grind?
You get whatever you order. You have those options, right? So there again, right?
That's awesome.
You do what you want. And
can I get Scott to bring me a cup of coffee to my house?
You can change those subscriptions along the way.
You hear that? The CEO will bring you coffee. It's a little more expensive. That's the premium.
It's a little more expensive.
That's the platinum Badass Coffee.
You can pay double for that kind of action.
Scott comes to your house every morning. I love that. So that's a big part of your business now. So you're getting people to come in. They buy the coffee, they love it, and then they're also like saying, wait a minute, I can't get there today, whatever, and now I'm going to just get it delivered. And let me ask you something else, because I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I know a little something about coffee, and Jimmy, he's a connoisseur, as you heard him talk. When you buy, like, what's the makers? What are the best machines? Like, what is the little pods? Are they good, bad? Do you have to have the slow drip? What is the right way to do it?
There's really no right or wrong answer to that. It's how you enjoy your coffee.
Really?
So, it's like moods. Everybody's got a different mood, and everybody has a different
mood.
So whether you're a pod person or a pour over person or a French press person, there's a different form to deliver that coffee, and there's a different grind to make sure that the way that you're preparing it, the way that you like it,
right,
you're always getting the best cup of coffee.
And so do you make pods that work in the Keurig machine right now?
We do.
Like, do you have a Badass?
Yep, we do. We make the K-Cups. We have made the K-Cups, and gosh,
So for you, what do you like? Or is it the same thing? It's like if I'm traveling, maybe I'll just have some a K-Cup with me in the suitcase. But if I'm home, I want to use what is it? What does Scott, the maven of all Badass Coffee, do?
Well, I'll drink my coffee however it's served to me. I am not a coffee snob, so I'll drink it. I'll drink it the way it's available to me when I'm at home. And this is
at home.
You'll appreciate this. I'm more of a French press guy. And I'm a French press guy because, like you, Shotzi, my wife has never had a sip of coffee in her life.
I like coffee ice cream, which is odd, right? I love Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream all the day long. I'll eat that.
Her request is, why didn't you guys invest in a shoe company? So,
I'm getting knocked out. The producer is knocking. So let me get right to the branded quickfire because I'm getting knocking sounds, Jimmy. All right, I'm getting knocking. So we're going over time here. All right, listen. Let's go to the branded quickfire. Okay, Atlanta edition. High above, 46 flights high from where are we? Toast Studios. High above Toast Studios. Here we go. If Badass Coffee sponsored an Atlanta sports team, would you choose the Falcons, the Braves, the Hawks, or Atlanta United Football Club?
Falcons.
Which Atlanta-based musician would you love to see become a Badass Coffee ambassador? Outkast, Usher, T.I., or Zac Brown Band? I don't know the Zac Brown Band. Should I know the Zac Brown Band, Jimmy?
Definitely.
Oh, okay. All right.
I would say Zac Brown Band.
Oh, see, I don't even know who that is. I just don't know what the hell's going on. If you had to rename Badass Coffee drink, if you had to rename a Badass Coffee drink after an Atlanta landmark, would you go with Centennial Park Cappuccino, Georgia Aquarium Americano, CNN Center Cold Brew or Piedmont Park Pour Over, or none of the above?
That last one's too hard to say. I'll say CNN Center Cold Brew.
Okay, there we go. All right. I'm missing my other. Here it is. I have it. If you had to incorporate a famous Atlanta, this isn't it. I don't think this is it. I lost it. I lost it.
If you had true or false, Atlanta's nickname is the Big Peach.
False.
You are correct, sir. It is actually the Big A, or the ATL, the ATL.
Jimmy, keep going, because I don't have the last quick fire. So it's Jimmy's quick fire, people.
Boy.
By the way, Scott, remember, this is the most important question of the quick fire. So if you were to challenge Schatz or myself to a latte art contest judged by Atlanta's own Ludacris. By the way, famous songs. I'll just say Moneymaker and Move, BITTH, get out of the way. But if you had to choose a latte contest judged by Atlanta's own Ludacris, who do you think would have better odds of impressing your audience, your guests? Schatz or I at a latte art making contest?
Sorry, Schatz. I'm going to go with Jimmy. He's the coffee guy.
Listen to the way he was talking about coffee. He's like, it's burned to taste a little this and that. What the hell is that? It's like a freaking wine he's talking about.
My job in the morning is to make my wife a latte, and the foam. The foam is very important, and how you put the foam and how you swirl the foam. I'm practicing. So, by the way, Scott, you're 100% right. Schatz doesn't drink coffee. He doesn't make his wife Jillian coffee. Every morning, I'm practicing my latte art. There you go.
All right. Well, listen, I'm getting knocked on the door. We got to go. This was awesome. Badasscoffee.com. Check it out and get your subscription. And like I said, the super premium platinum edition of the subscription, I don't know what it costs, but it's a lot. Scott Snyder himself will come and bring you a cup of coffee every morning of Badass Coffee with a hat.
Scott,
so that's awesome.
really enjoyed having you on, and I can't wait for you to open in Jersey. And if there's anything we could do to help,
that is a lie, Jimmy. You're never going.
No. If we can get you to New York City, I got to tell you, I think your Hawaii, your aloha, your ohana would do. I think it'd be great to have you here in New York City.
It would resonate. All right. Thanks, Scott, man. This was awesome. Appreciate you, man.
You bet.